Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. This time we're going to be checking out the full Andrew Tate BBC interview. I've seen snippets of it and it looks good and exciting, and I like the fact that it's also going to be all unedited. So like I said, we're going to check it out. We're just going to dive right in. Most of you know who Top G is anyway. I'm no Top G. I'm what's called a SAG, slightly above average guy, SAAG. But other than that, if you like this kind of content and want to support me and the channel, please go ahead and give us a subscribe, thumbs up. And if you could do me a favor and leave me a comment in the bottom, let me know what's going on, what you think about this, if she's smart, dumb, if he's right, wrong, if you think he did it. I don't think he did it. But yeah, let's see what happens. I assume y'all can read it, so I'm not going to read it out loud. Okay, so they definitely know they're recording. She just confirmed.
You've agreed to do an interview with the BBC today.
Yep.
The material is going to be published on television, on radio, online.
Perfect.
We are doing an interview with you because you're facing some very serious allegations.
Correct.
Rape, human trafficking.
Yep.
And also because there's a great deal of concern about the things you say and the impact that they have on young people, on women.
I don't think the concern is about the things I say. I think the concern is for the level of influence I have and the reach I have. I would argue that a lot of the things that are already out there inside of the legacy media, the matrix as a whole, are far more damaging than the things I say.
It's the concern about the influence you have being a harmful influence, but let's start with the allegations.
Not necessarily a harmful influence. The fact that I'm massively influential over the youth, and I understand that. But it's my influence as a whole which people are afraid of, not necessarily what it comes to.
Let's start with the allegations.
Okay.
Have you raped anybody?
Absolutely not.
Have you trafficked anybody?
Absolutely not.
Exploited any women for
Absolutely
money?
not.
But you...
Okay, those questions I personally think are a little dumb, just because he's obviously going to court over those things, and why would he suddenly change his answer now? Stupid questions. I think, personally, a better question would have been something to the effect of like, why do you think they're accusing you of these things? And, or she at least could have preemptively said, just to clear the air so we're to start on the same page, I'm just going to riddle off these basic questions and then just answer. Honestly, right? That's just me. I'm an over-critiquer, though, I think.
You have admitted using emotional manipulation to get women to work in a web industry for you.
No. Firstly, let's begin. Let's start. I'm facing charges. The first one you mentioned, the rape one's already thrown out by a judge. There's no evidence of it. Secondly, it's very difficult for me to sit here and have a very frank and honest conversation with you while we're in the territory of Romania about a legal case that's going on in Romania. I have to protect myself. I've agreed to do an interview with you, and I want to be as honest with you as possible. But I can't incriminate myself in any way. I have to be very careful with what I talk about.
There are no charges yet.
Correct. There are no charges.
There
are no charges, and I've agreed to speak to you. But I have to be as honest and frank as I can, while also protecting myself and following my legal counsel.
So let's talk about what...
Which I think his legal counsel is behind the camera. Because some of the snippets I've seen, and like what you saw in the beginning, like where they clapped, it looked like there's a bunch of people behind. Why wouldn't there be, right? But it looks like there's a bunch of people behind the camera, and I can only imagine doing an interview like this where they know the case is going to get brought up. I think personally you'd be an idiot not to have your lawyer there to make sure that you don't say any of the stupid things that most people say under these circumstances. So, we'll see.
What you've said yourself then. You have said on the website, for your original website for the Hustlers University, that you emotionally manipulated women to fall in love with you so that you could get them working in the sex industry for your financial gain.
As I said, I have to be very careful with what I say, but let's put it this way. No women are coming out against me and accusing me of doing it.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. Who?
There's testimony from the current investigation.
The current investigation, which I cannot discuss, which I know intimately and you don't, I can tell you right now that the women who are in this case file, there are 2 American women who have been caught already admitting their lying, and then nobody else is accusing me of anything.
To begin with, it's very common in cases like this that the alleged victims do not always see themselves as victims.
Well, that's very interesting. It's actually extremely interesting. Because if I was a matrix-controlled organization and my goal was to slander somebody and try and destroy their name, you're telling me that they've chosen a crime which, one, is heinous, of course, because it damages the person's credibility, and two, you're saying that even if everyone else involved, if you have 5 people and everyone's sitting there saying, no, nobody's hurt anybody, we like Andrew, we've all worked together, we're friends, etc.
That's not what everybody's saying.
No.
Let me read you some of the testimony from the current investigation.
Can I finish?
One of the witnesses said...
Can I finish this?
You're not answering the question I've asked you. You're not answering the question I've
I am
asked you.
answering the question.
Let me read you the testimony of one of the witnesses.
You're saying the people who are involved in this, even if they say they're not victims, that they're still going to try and attack me and pretend they're victims.
They are treated as victims by...
Yeah, so they're not victims. They themselves say they're not victims, and they say they're going to be treated as if they're victims anyway. I'm like, minimum, which it sounds vaguely what she's talking about is Stockholm syndrome, right? But from if I understand my understanding of Andrew Tate's lifestyle, he's not hanging out with these women for decades, right? A couple years, if I had to guess, maybe off and on, maybe not even years. I doubt he dates any single one for exclusively for any kind of length of time. But they've been away from their manipulator for probably, again, for years, if I had to guess, because I do, and I am. And so Stockholm syndrome really wouldn't apply at this point, and I'm not a psychiatrist or anything. Like, what do I know about Stockholm syndrome? But from my vague understanding of it, no, that's not a thing. So, and to, yeah, that's a lot to unpack. We'll keep going.
Case that's ongoing, and not all of them are saying that. One of the witnesses says,
we can't go into the case. The case is open and active.
Well, let's just be clear that not all of the witnesses in the case are behaving in the way you describe, and even those that are, it doesn't bar them from being treated as victims by the prosecution by the case.
We have an open criminal investigation. I am absolutely not really sure I'll be found innocent. I know the case better than you. I know it intimately and you don't. I have seen all the criminal files and the evidence against me and you haven't. I know the truth of what happened and you don't. And I'm telling you absolutely not really, I've never hurt anybody, that the case that's been put against me is completely and utterly fabricated. And I'm never going to be found guilty of anything. And it's very difficult for me to answer your in-depth questions because we're sitting here inside of the territory of Romania. I'm beholden to the Romanian legal system. And I'm not going to incriminate myself because you're trying to prod me. You are wrong, and we're going to have to accept that for now and talk about something else.
Let me read you then what you have said about what you have done.
Sure.
Introducing the
Sorry for the ad.
The non-lethal self-defense platform.
You have said, my job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I say, and then get her on webcam.
The only complaints they have against me are the initial complaints, which we can prove are lies, and that's where it stands. So I'm not going to sit here and allow you to pretend that I'm some kind of evil predator, when actually I'd argue the fact that people who've been investigating...
Have you guys noticed the subtitles don't actually match what they're saying sometimes? It's just words here and there. It's not like they're misconstruing everything, but they definitely... I don't know, it's like a bot did it, and they just accepted it without editing it, is what it looks like. Because he definitely said things different than what the words that I'm reading, so... But whatever, I can understand him. He makes good points so far.
To the level I've been investigated to. We would take the average man on the street and investigate his entire life for 14 months, call everyone who's ever known him, and vilify him in the media, and encourage people to come forward for money, and you try to contact every ex-girlfriend he's ever had.
Would come forward and accuse those people of rape and accuse those
I
people
think that you would have a lot more. I think you would have a lot more flack than I've got. I'm actually such a nice person that I've never had anyone come
spoken to somebody since your arrest who says exactly those things. That with you, it's all manipulation. There's an ulterior.
Is this Sophie?
Everything.
Is this Sophie? Oh, Sophie, the fake name, no face, no.
I was so
the story that was
wanting
invented.
to please him and wanting him to be happy that I was just kind of okay, do whatever you want.
And what is she accused? Has she accused me of a crime? This imaginary Sophie?
She's making the point that there is
Has she accused me of a crime?
emotional or psychological manipulation.
I've asked you a question, and I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you a question.
Correct, but you're not the boss here, because I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you the question.
Correctly, and I'm telling you.
You get to decide the answers.
No, we're equal here. I've allowed you into my house. You don't come here with a position of authority. I'm doing you the favor as legacy media, giving you relevance by speaking to you. And I'm telling you now, this Sophie, which the BBC has invented, which there's no face of, nobody knows who she is.
The BBC did not invent.
Of course not. And because you never invent anything. And she's not filed criminal charges against me. What are we talking about? What is she saying?
Talking about emotional manipulation against the sex industry for your financial gain.
Absolute garbage. She has not filed this person, if they exist, has not filed criminal charges against me. I welcome anybody who believes I've harmed them, male or female, any point in the past, to file criminal charges against me. I will fight them. I know who I am, I know what I've done, and I know the truth, and I know that I'll be found innocent of this attack. The reason I'm being attacked is because of my massive influence, not because I've ever hurt anybody. And for you to sit here and say that everybody around you is saying you're innocent, but that doesn't matter because the state will say they're victims, and they're just going to
keep going,
grab everybody you know and call everybody victims, even if they say they're not, and try and put you in jail. You are describing a matrix attack. You're not describing human trafficking.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human trafficking.
We will see what women go. We will see what women go to court
Can I
in this
finish,
trial.
please?
We'll see which women go.
Can
to
I
court.
finish, please?
We'll see which women.
she says, can she finish? But technically, they've been kind of interrupting each other here and there. Her a little bit more than him right now, but... And to some extent, I think he's being really polite. I would be handling this different. I wouldn't let her keep sidestepping some of the stuff I would say. I would pin her down and metaphorically, and as far as speech goes, and try and get her to defend or agree a particular point before we moved on. Assuming it wasn't part of the incriminate yourself part. Like, obviously, there's some battles you're gonna have to let go. But if I could, like, some of the ones in here, when I see another example, I'll be like, no. Answer the question. And then instead of even, because sometimes he'll do it, he'll go out, he'll try and enforce something, and then it looks like she'll say something and get half sidetracked. He'll get the last word in, which I think is what his goal is, but it doesn't really seem, he's not really getting her either. She looks stupid so far, but he's not really getting her. You know, like she's come here to it's a setup, right? And even though he knows it, he's not doing his own gotcha moments. If it was me, I'd be hunting for my own gotcha moments. So.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human trafficking.
So name the women, point them out for all the ones that haven't been proved false, according to two of them have, right? And you have the third one that apparently doesn't have a face. Probably a victim of bat cells, if I had to guess.
And I'm describing women who have spoken to the BBC at length
Sophie doesn't exist.
and other media organisations about what they say is emotional manipulation and coercion. And I'm quoting back to you your own words where you describe
They're not my words.
coercion.
They're words
and
they're words you found on the internet, and Sophie doesn't exist.
On
So
your
let's move on to the
website,
next subject.
in your voice.
Move on to the next subject.
No, I think I'll stick on this one for a minute. So there's other places in that same website where you say you get girls to fall in love with you and they do it because they love you, because they want to do what you say. Convincing women to take part in some kind of business arrangement doesn't work long term because they're emotional. You've got to get them to fall in love with you.
Once
That's
again,
coercion, that's emotional manipulation, that's abuse.
what you found are clips from the internet, some text from the internet, and you're going to sit here and tell me that that's the reason I should.
Your website, your words.
It's not my website.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Check my website. Next.
It's the website you've taken down, and I wonder why those comments have been taken
No
down.
website's been taken down. My website's the same. It's been the same for a very long time.
The comments on this website, on the original website, have been taken down, and I wonder why.
You are accusing me.
See, if it was me, this is one of those examples. I'd be like, show it, prove it. Where's your evidence? And she doesn't have any. She's obviously not very prepared, but she obviously doesn't have any evidence of that. So I would say, it'd be kind of like the Elon Musk interview where he's talking to the journalist and he can't even give him one example of why Twitter's like more racist or something like that since he took over, or more mean, or whatever it was, more hurt your feelingsy. And he couldn't even give him one example, even though he claimed there's been this huge skyrocket. It's a very similar thing. And again, I would be more like Elon and be like, where's your evidence? Give me one. Like, I would ask for evidence, especially since I can see computers in the background. I'll be like, no, bring it up. It's your own interview. He's on house arrest, from my understanding. He's not going anywhere. He's not doing anything. You have all the time in the world. And I know that he does podcasts and stuff that are hours and hours long. And this is apparently only 38 minutes. Why not? Just go to the thing. or show up your evidence on the computer. When I said your thing, go to the computer, pull up the website. Where's your evidence? Evidence. This is like an emotional argument. This is a woman arguing a man. That's what this is. It's like a breakup argument or something like that. And she's trying to use emotions and just vague, what is it, anecdotal evidence. And he's trying to basically use logic, reason, and I haven't really seen anything yet of empirical data, but that would be the counter to the other one. But he's at least using logic and reason, and she's just being unreasonable. This is regular media sucks.
I'm guessing. What you're trying to say is you're accusing me. You're trying to say that I'm guilty of the things I'm accused of and I'm emotionally manipulated.
I'm saying that you have said you emotionally manipulated people here for your own financial gain.
No, absolutely not.
And I'm asking you about that.
Absolutely not is the answer. I look forward to the end of this trial. I look forward to clearing my name.
Now, on that note, a little bit, kind of, in the case of black and whiteness, like, I'd probably say yes to that one. Like, yeah, a little tiny bit. But that's not really that much different than being in a relationship with somebody and going on a venture together. Like Grubhubbing or whatever it is, internet, creating your own OnlyFans, right? He was basically doing his own OnlyFans before OnlyFans was a thing. That's all it was. That's all he did. He figured it out, and obviously it takes some level of communication, rather than the word manipulation, communication, in order to convince anybody, let alone a woman, that would be in her benefit to take her clothes off on camera. If anything, it is a display of his power of manipulation and understanding of mastery of languages in general. Not like languages, not like multiple languages, but his grasp of language and how words can guide people down certain paths or inspire or fear or whatever it is. So, but as far as the case is concerned, absolutely not. But he also didn't just walk up to them, just some random hot girl on the street with a paper that just said, hey, let's sign this and go into business together. You're going to take your clothes off or whatever. That's obviously not what happened either. So it has to be, a balanced minimum between the two.
Look forward to the BBC and the legacy media having to say not guilty and having to tell the truth. As I've said before, the only other person who's been found, despite absolute rigorous, destructive levels of investigation and prodding into my life, is this imaginary Sophie by the BBC who doesn't exist. And if you were to find any single other man on earth and try and analyze his life forensically to the level they've done mine, you would find genuine damage to people. I don't hurt people.
It's not just...
Thousands of women have come out in my defense. Thousands of women have come out in my defense, and you've not mentioned that. Thousands of women come out in my defense.
The problem is when women accuse you of serious crimes.
Okay.
Wait, the problem is because women have accused you, but even though thousands of women have come out, and all the ones they've accused of have been false, her argument is circular. She's just going in circles. She has no new talking points so far, although we're only about a third through, a fourth, more like a fourth. So, she's an idiot. Maybe it's because she hasn't slept. She's very disheveled looking. It looks like she's at the age in her life where she's realized she's not going to have kids, and this is the top for her. I think she's going to be a cat lady. If this is how she holds herself outside of this, maybe this is just a unique scenario, but I'm willing to bet she's going to be a cat lady in a few years.
But let's agree that thousands of women...
It's not a problem that some people say you haven't done it. It's a problem that some people say you have.
Thousands of women come out in my defense, and as we stand right now...
That's another example. I would say yes or no, and I wouldn't let any other conversational transaction go further until she either said yes or no. So then I would know where to go in the conversation. Because obviously if she said yes, then I'd be like, okay, now let's move on, because I've had thousands defend me against the two that are false. That you have nothing there. Let's go. Or if she says no, then I forgot what I was saying. So yeah, I'm more in the moment. What was you saying? Oh, and then if she said no, then I'd be like, well, then you haven't done your research and you don't know what you're talking about. Like thousands of years. Go Google it. Once again, I have computers right there. And again, they have people behind the camera. They almost need like a research team on their smartphones to do like a live action search. I don't know why more people don't do that during these kind of things.
We have open criminal investigation. The people who are involved in the criminal investigation are saying we're not victims of anything. Andrew's fine, he's never hurt us. You're saying, no, I have the opposite to that. I have the counter to that. I have someone called Sophie with no face, a fake name, who we've invented, and she's not accusing you of anything criminal. So I don't see the whole point you're trying to make.
You say you manipulate women, they say you manipulate women. Why wouldn't people think you do?
I'm not here. Do you think I'm manipulating you?
I'm asking you about the testimony you've given on your website and the testimony
You've printed something off that you found on Reddit, and you're going to sit here and say that makes me a bad person. I'm saying that you should know better as a journalist and do some proper journalism. Let's investigate the fact that
I think you should answer my question properly.
I already have, and we should move on. She's just trying to start an argument.
It's not only about the criminal allegations. It's a much bigger issue.
See how we asked her a question, though? Do you think I'm manipulating you? And again, they just let it slide. I wouldn't have. I'd be like, no. Answer my question. She's doing an excellent job of sidestepping his questions as well, and he's letting her get away with it. I don't know if that's with intent or if he doesn't care or it is what it is. I don't know. But it's something that, at least the way my mind works when I argue or do these kind of, we'll call them debates, heated debates. I don't let that kind of thing slide.
You've got children's organisations in the UK, you've got rape organisations in the UK, you've got the police naming you by name as someone who has a harmful influence on children.
Yeah, they would have to name him by name in order to bring him to court, right? That's a stupid point.
Children and on women in the UK and elsewhere because of the things you say, because of the way you present gender relations, the way you say men should treat women.
Vernon Central High School, how may I help you?
I'm calling to help you, actually.
That's very upsetting. And the reason that's very upsetting is because I know that's not true. I'm genuinely a good person. I believe my impact on the world is positive. In fact, if you were to read the comment section of nearly any video I post, especially by the legacy media, 95% of the population agree with me. Most people know that the things I say are positive. Legacy media as a whole has lost all its credibility in the last 3 or 4 years. Nobody believes it. And it's a shame. It's a massive shame the BBC come here and try and push and purport this idea that I'm a dangerous person. I'm anti-drugs, so I've never pushed drugs or any, I'm anti-drugs, I'm anti-violence. The UK is facing a knife crime epidemic, and they're going to sit here and say, that I'm the most dangerous man in the UK.
You have said you're the most dangerous man in the world.
I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world.
You've also said that a woman's...
At best, if he said that, it was like rhetorical or something. Like, he doesn't really drink right. I've seen a couple things, and I've seen things where he's said, like, he only gets drunk when he has, like, 85 bodyguards around him, and he buys out the place and things like that. But I don't know about that.
Intimate parts belong to her male partner. I'm glad you find that funny.
I find it funny that you're saying...
And they do. Like, I kind of, to some extent, I agree with that. It's obviously a metaphor. It's not a literal term. It's a metaphor, but... Yeah, like it's going under the classification of, if I'm in a relationship with you, I don't want you to be a prostitute, stripper, or an OnlyFans girl because your body is supposed to be exclusive for me because we are in the relationship. That's one of the benefits of being in the relationship, right? So, and then it's also true vice versa. That's another reason why cheating is wrong and on both fronts.
You're saying that I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world, and you believe that's... When did I say that?
I'm asking if you believe it.
No, you said you're the most dangerous man in the world. Is that some kind of proof that I'm dangerous? Am I Dr. Evil now? I'm telling you that it's very upsetting that you're going to sit here and that certain organizations in the world are going to try and pretend that I'm the biggest force of evil on earth when I'm genuinely a force for good. I'm genuinely a force for good. And the reason they're doing this is because of the massive influence I have over the youth, and they don't like that I'm telling the youth to think outside the matrix and ignore things like the BBC, which come here with loaded questions and false narratives and try and paint innocent people as guilty.
You've said women's intimate parts belong to their male partner.
I said that if a woman marries a man, she takes his last name and traditionally the man gives her away. I've been pushing traditional religious beliefs, because I'm a religious man, and traditional beliefs in regards to marriage, which everybody accepted 10 to 15 years ago.
So
that's not a crazy conspiracy theory. If you're going to sit here and say that me believing a woman should take a man's last name in marriage makes me the most dangerous man in the world, then you're just going to lose even more credibility than the BBC's already lost in the last 4 to 5 years. If that's your point, if that's your narrative you want to push,
say that
good
men
luck.
should be able to sleep with a lot of women outside marriage. That doesn't sound...
So yeah, I would have made her answer if that's her point. Chess, you sidestepped it again?
I'm very religious. they're just
That's not what I said they should be able to. I said a lot of high-value men, a lot of rich men do it. And then we discussed at length on podcasts why rich men do it. And we also discussed why women decide to be unfaithful. It's not a gendered argument. We discussed unfaithfulness as a whole. What are the reasons and motivations for men? What are the reasons and motivations for women? Because you have no time to actually, watch my content. Because you have no time.
I hate how she constantly tries to interrupt him. He's clearly in the middle of a speech. If she had went back and watched someone's podcast, you would see that he does a good solid 1 to 5 minute rant, somewhere in there, 1 to 5 minutes. But then he stops and because he has his point across, and now it's the other person's turn to say whatever, and she keeps. A lot of interviewers do this to him. They just interrupt him halfway through, or not even halfway sometimes. Obviously, right away, but.
To actually watch my content at length and understand what I'm saying, you just come here with a small snippet which we provided to you on a piece of paper.
Doesn't make it true.
No, completely. You don't have a clue what I say or what I talk about. You never watch my content. You have small pieces of paper, small clips on a piece of paper, and you're trying to pretend I've said evil things. And then you're going to say I'm the most dangerous man in the world, which is truly laughable.
You said that, not me.
Okay. Do you believe I'm the most dangerous man in the world, Lucy?
I'm not answering your questions.
Well then we need to change the dynamic of this interview because, and I'll make this clear, I allowed you into my home. I'm doing you a favor. You need the first interview I'm giving to the public. You don't come here with a position of authority. You're not the police. I don't respect the BBC. I don't know you. You do not come here with a position of authority over me. We are equals. We are people. We're citizens of the world, and we sit here as equals. And I see you as my equal. And if you ask me questions, I can ask you questions back. For you to come here and sit down and pretend you're the Gestapo and that you don't have to answer my questions is disingenuous because I don't owe you anything.
Asking questions and you answer.
But I don't owe. No.
However you want.
This is a conversation, and I don't owe you any degree of authority over me. So let's make that clear. That is.
Yeah, it's only an interview as long as the questions are reasonable, but when you give pushback to his answer, he needs to understand where you're coming from, thus the return of a question. That's what happens during these kind of things. That's part of it. You're not an interrogator. You're not the Gestapo. It's a good word there. Tate, I didn't think of a better one.
Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or from the BBC or the CNN. I'm here to answer your questions and be honest with you and do you a favor.
Correct.
And I'm doing you a favor. But you come here with loaded questions. You're trying to paint a narrative of me which is negative.
I'm asking you
And
about
that's
things
fine.
you've said that people are concerned about.
And that's fine. But
You
you're
have
not
said
going to sit here and say you don't answer my questions because you're not above me.
I wanted to find another path to a new career. Of course, there.
Absolutely.
Well, it would help if you answered the question.
I've answered every question so far.
Let me ask another question.
Sure.
You have said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner, and if she goes on OnlyFans, he is entitled to a cut of her income.
You are extremely. It's actually very confusing to me why you're going to sit here, take long format podcasts I've done, which are 3 or 4 hours long, in context where I've sat with OnlyFans girls, 10 or 15 OnlyFans girls, where we've been joking back and forth, ignore every comment and satirical comment and sarcastic comment that the females have made, and then come along and say, you said this, and that you're the most evil man in the world. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what context is. I don't know if you understand what satirical.
What was that question?
These calls, 10 or 15 OnlyFans girls, you're going to sit here, take.
If she goes on OnlyFans, he is entitled to a cut of her income.
You are extremely. It's actually very confusing to me why you're going to sit here, take long format podcasts I've done, which are 3 or 4 hours long, in context where I've sat with OnlyFans girls, 10 or 15 OnlyFans girls, where we've been joking back and forth, ignore every comment and satirical comment and sarcastic comment that the females have made, and then come along and say, you said this, and that you're the most evil man in the world. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what context is. I don't know if you understand what satirical comments are.
So you're saying it's sarcastic?
I'm saying it was a very interesting talk show. And for you to sit here and say that that is my true core beliefs and that makes me a bad person is disingenuous.
Is it?
Of course not.
Was it sarcasm?
Absolutely. You should watch the show.
You were being sarcastic when you said... Let me just
You
clarify,
should watch the show.
Let me clarify for the audience.
Finally, at least one of her questions see how she finally stated I'm trying to clarify for the audience. She should have said that from the beginning. You don't say it halfway in, finally for the first time. She's not good at her job, in my opinion. Although I think I've already said that, so.
You were being sarcastic when you said a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner.
No.
You didn't believe that.
No, it's not that. It's that you haven't watched the show at length. And you should have, because the woman was saying, my man's car belongs to me because he's my man. and she was on OnlyFans. And then 20 minutes later, when she said she was on OnlyFans, I said, well, you're selling your body, that belongs to him because he's your man. And she laughed, and she said, yeah, that's probably true. If you watch the show, it will make sense. For you to come here with doing no research at all, and then say, I don't understand what I'm talking about, but I bought this piece of paper with a few things printed off, that's why you're saying the silly things you're saying. You should watch the show, do some research.
Do you believe it?
I've already answered the question.
Not really.
Of course I have. Can we move on? I've answered the question.
Do you believe that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male
Of
partner?
course not. I've just answered the question.
Yeah, he already explained it. Again, not by ownage or anything like that. At best, he's talking about the money that comes from her exposing intimate parts to the internet. The benefit of that. If nothing else, the partnership, you guys should be splitting your money anyway, right?
And does this woman believe that her man's car belongs to her? It's not a gendered argument. I really think that it's genuinely sad that when the BBC has a chance to finally interview me at the end of all this matrix stuff, that they don't come here with any kind of genuine openness to try and understand my influence over the world, or the things I push, or what I'm trying to teach the world, or why I'm a good influence on the world, because I am a massively good influence. Instead, they come here with pieces of paper, with printed out excerpts from 5-year-old podcasts, taken out of context, to attempt the same matrix attack on me, which has been attempted endlessly. Every single person in Legacy Media has already tried this, and it doesn't work. I encourage you to read the comment section on YouTube, when this goes on YouTube, and you will see that nobody believes a word you're saying.
The reason I'm asking you about these comments is because we've got the chief executive of Rape Crisis naming you individually as spreading a dangerous ideology of misogynistic rape culture.
Absolutely.
It's the comments you make that are...
That guy sounds super woke. Like, super woke. Like, there's way other people. How about Jeffrey Epstein? Huh? How about you guys go start handling that? That sounds like a bunch of kids were raped. People haven't even been arrested from that yet, from my understanding. Last I heard. So, to cite him as number one, no. There's some other things you have to do if you want to start mentioning that. And also, to some extent, once again, Tate is a smart dude. I think he knows what he's doing. But, and as a devil's advocate for somebody, I think Andrew Tate invited the BBC knowing they were going to do this. Like, he says right now, like, it's unfortunate that given the opportunity, you could have achieved all this, but instead you're doing the typical thing. Yeah, but I think also, in that regard, he was looking for a setup. An easy 1-2 punch. Because he could have had somebody interview him that never would have asked any kind of these questions at all or been nearly this manipulative. You know, obviously he had the entire world basically begging for an interview. He literally could have picked anybody. As he stated like 86,000 times, he's going to make them relevant. And he picked BBC, and I don't know if he picked this woman, but he at least picked the BBC, and it's fiery was the word we're going to use. But again, I think that was part of its design for him and as part of his plan to promote himself also. So, you know, his business move, smart.
Leading people to say things like
absolute garbage.
National organisations who are saying that, blaming you for increasing levels of misogyny. Schools that are saying they are having increased incidents of girls being attacked, of female teachers being harassed.
If that was
by pupils,
if that
wasn't you and your teaching.
Well, that's absolute garbage. I have never, ever encouraged a student to attack a teacher, male or female, ever. I preach hard work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single problem in modern society, I'm against. I'm teaching young men to be disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me, with no criminal record, never even yet charged in this 14-month matrix investigation. And I'm saying that men grew up like me, which are hardworking and diligent, and emotional control and stoic, we're going to have a better society, not a worse society. To sit here and say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago, is disingenuous. It's disingenuous. And also,
financial success.
Correct.
With a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
Because it's all mixed together in what you teach. You teach that a woman, if a woman comes home and accuses you of cheating, you should hit her with a machete, shove her off.
Is that what I teach?
That's what you say.
No, if you actually watch the clip, it will be about the woman attacking me with a machete. As usual, you've not watched the video, taken it out of context, flipped it, and attempted to attack me with a small excerpt. Let me tell you something, Lucy. I'm sure you're a very nice person. I'm sure you're a fantastic person.
Maybe
if I
not.
were to take everything you've ever said online and just take small excerpts out of context, I could make you look like a misogynist. I guarantee it. In fact, I might actually do that. And then you're going to sit here and say, oh shit, I'm a misogynist because my clips have been taken out of context.
I have to do it. Hopefully you
can understand it.
The
Then
National
that's what's going to happen.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Chiefs lead for violence against women. The NSPC.
And he should do it against all the people of his court system or whatever that he won't get in trouble for. Don't get yourself in trouble. But like the judges, whoever he thinks corrupt in these false accusations, whoever it is, I think he should just do it for all of them.
Rape crisis, safer schools, they are all naming you as being behind an epidemic of misogyny, even amongst primary school children.
The idea that I made primary school children misogynistic because I own a nice car. Is that your argument?
It's the misogyny that comes along with it.
Oh, owning a nice car is misogynist.
No, it's the misogyny that comes along with it.
How does misogyny come along with owning a nice car?
Because you have an image of financial
I'm glad you're answering my questions now. We finally got the
You have an image of financial
answer my questions, as
success.
you should.
Excuse me. You have an image of financial success, but it comes along with attitudes
I would have said you excuse.
towards women that are really problematic.
My attitudes towards women is that women should be protected and provided for, and I've said that at length. In fact, I've said that over 50 times online. You never mention it. I say that my girlfriend doesn't have to work unless she wants to. I take care of her. I die to protect the woman. I've talked about how I've stood up and faced a knife to protect a woman.
And in return, you want authority over her in the way you have over a child or a dog.
Absolutely not. I've said that women should be protected and provided for. And
in return, you want authority over her, because if you have responsibility for someone like a child or a dog, you say, you have authority over them.
If you want to go down this argument, we'll go down this nuanced argument. I said that if I have responsibility for her safety, I should have a degree of authority over her safety. Meaning, and let me explain my point. If I'm the one who has to fight and die to protect her, I'm the one who decides how we walk home. I'm the one who decides the route we take. Because it's unfair for her to say, I want to walk through the most dangerous neighborhood in the world, but you have to face the knives. That's what I've said. And then you're going to sit here and pretend I'm trying to treat women like dogs.
Yeah, because if your girl wants to do that, that's time for you to break up. You no longer have a girl. She can go walk down the alleyway by herself. She can go fight all the people with knives.
Which is garbage. Every single man in the world who loves this woman understands that he has to protect her. And every single woman in the world likes the idea of a man who would protect her. If you were to say to most women home right now, do you want your husband to protect you in a violent attack? They'd say, yeah, of course. Nothing I've said is misogynistic.
You say to most women, would you want to lose authority in the relationship, to not be treated as a free and legal equal to your...
I didn't say that. I said I need to have authority over the route we walk home.
When you compare women and the authority over women that you believe you should have to having authority over a child or a dog, it's not the same, because a woman is a free, legal adult.
Correct.
You're equal.
Free, legal adult, my equal. But if I had a girlfriend, and we were walking home late at night, and I said, let's not walk down that area, it's a bad area, I have to protect you if anything happens, I want to take the long way. And she said, no, I have to walk this way, even though it's the most dangerous route, I must.
Then what?
Then I would say, you're welcome to, you can do it, you're a free and legal equal, but I'm not going to walk with you and protect you. I think that I should be able to decide the route, because I have an obligation. And my obligation as a man is to protect and provide for females. Everything I'm
There you go. See, he said it too. He's like, you're more than welcome to go, but I'm not going with you.
talking about is traditional gender roles, which 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago, would not be considered outlandish, would not be considered crazy, would not be considered dangerous or misogynistic. The world has changed, and a lot of people haven't changed with the world. Please understand, there's a lot of women at home watching this right now who like the idea of their man sticking up for them, protecting them, and providing for them. And just because the world has gone crazy and the legacy media has gone crazy, most people at home are still relatively sane. And these are the people who are going to write in the comments that Andrew isn't saying anything that's outlandish.
What's wrong with this?
That's the whole world
I guess some camera stuff happened.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm having a nice conversation with you, so I'm enjoying it. So it's no problem. It's been fun so far.
See what I mean? Like, he knew what he was doing. He picked them because he knew that they were going to give him a show. This wasn't all. He's not totally innocent over here. He knew they were going to give him a show. He's having fun. He looked for this fight. He found. He got his Andrew Tate. He got exactly what he was looking for.
It's fine.
Oh, see that leg bouncing though? It's getting. I don't know about agitated, but that it wasn't bouncing like that in the beginning.
We good?
Yes.
Tell me when.
You want to clap again?
We didn't stop, no?
I can do the clap. Now we good?
Thank you.
If a man broke into your house, wouldn't you want your husband to protect you?
There's a difference between conservative values and emotional control, coercive control.
We're talking about protection now, and I'm saying if someone broke into your house, would you want your husband to protect you?
It's not about conservative values or protection, it's what you're demanding in return for that.
Well, I'll give you this. I don't know if your husband is. I don't know if he would stand up and protect you or die for you, but I'll give you this. If someone broke into this house right now who's a homicidal maniac, I would expect me and the other men in this room to stand up and face them while you and the other women in this room could protect yourselves. I would actually believe that men should go and engage the attacker. I believe that. And even though I don't know you, and you've come into my house with a hostile agenda, and you've come here to try and make me look bad, I would still stand up and protect you. I would still stand up and protect you because I believe that's my role as a man.
I am asking you about things that you have said that have caused major national organizations, including the police, to worry about you by name. That's what I'm asking you about.
It's not what I say.
It's not about whether you protect your partner or not. It's about what you have said that has caused such concern in the UK. And I want to put it to you that you don't really care about the harm it caused.
That's not true.
Because
That's not true.
making controversial statements like this online has made you a lot of money.
Okay, so firstly, I genuinely am a force for the good of the world. You may not understand that yet, but you will eventually. And I genuinely believe I'm acting under the instruction of God to do good things. And I want to make the world a better place. I genuinely believe my legacy is a good legacy. And I believe that eventually, when the legacy media catches up, they're going to understand I'm a good, positive influence. I'm not interested in damaging the world for money. Because if I was interested in damaging the world for money, I could have sold drugs. Or I could make rap music and encourage everyone to stab each other like all the drill artists do.
Or you could make controversial statements online that attract a lot of followers who you then direct to your website where they pay
I could make
to
jokes.
learn how to be
Sure,
like you.
I could make jokes online. Who doesn't? I mean, I could make a joke
Are you
online.
saying that all the controversial things you said are jokes?
No, I'm saying that these organizations and the BBC who are going to sit here and pretend that I am the face of damaging the youth is absolutely garbage. It's completely disingenuous.
It makes
And
you
the
money.
reason,
I'm sorry, we have agreed to an interview where you were going to ask questions that are going to give us the opportunity to clarify something. These are very loaded questions, and so far, I'm sorry, I'm outrageous and I'm talking right now. So.
That lady right there. That's the one that sounds like the lawyer. I don't know who that is. As far as the only other person I know really that's part of Tate's world, because I don't think that's one of his wives, is his brother, who obviously doesn't sound like that, so I'm guessing that's some type of lawyer.
These are very loaded questions, and this is not what we discussed, and this is not a conversation that we agreed
We were
to.
very clear that the questions
You're sitting there and just accusing, we're not here to face new allegations. This has all been discussed, answers have been provided, so if we could please move on from this side of the interview, I would appreciate it.
I would like to hear what Andrew's got to say about the fact that when you make controversial statements, it attracts people to follow you, and then you direct them to your website where they pay you a monthly fee to learn how to be like you. And so the more controversial statements you make, the more money you get.
the fact that that's the path you outlined to one, my online university, and two, my presence on the internet, the fact that you believe that's the path just shows you've done absolutely zero research.
Back when I first became owner of Mint Mobile, I promised one of our first and longest running customers what...
Genuinely zero research.
Okay, so how many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University come to you through your social media?
Genuinely zero research.
How many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University come to you through your social media where you direct them to the website?
And Lucy, I encourage you to go out there, do some genuine research, watch my videos.
Answer my
Of
question.
course, watch my videos at length, and truly understand what I'm doing.
How many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University at $49.99 a month come to you because they see your social media comments?
There's an online school called Hustlers University, which I don't own. I influence for, along with many other influencers, and they sign up for your website, which I don't own. And once again, that's nothing to do with me. And you're going to sit here and say that I made a joke. I made a joke online 4 years ago because a woman said that she owned her man's car, and you made a joke, and that means that you, because you're Bugatti, the most misogynistic, dangerous man in the world. This is going down a path of absolute insanity. It's not true. None of this is true. I don't hurt people. I don't harm people. I'm genuinely a positive influence.
You are renowned.
I'm renowned
for offensive and controversial.
That's not why I'm renowned. I'm actually renowned. I'm actually renowned for helping young men. As we talk about, there's a men's mental health crisis.
And for being blunt. Like, that is part of his shtick. Like, I remember one of the first clips I ever saw of him. I forget what podcast and all that kind of stuff he was on, but he said women are weak. And that set all the feminists off, right? All of them, whatever it is they said. And he purposely, in my opinion, chose to say it that way instead of saying, okay, he said women are weak, instead of saying women are typically less muscle-bound than men, or have less testosterone in their system. Typically, men are stronger because of genetics. Instead of saying something like that, he instead just said, women are weak. So he just took away the PC way to say something, which is why it's fiery, because everybody has been doing PC sayings and phrases now, probably since the 90s is when it started, but 2000s is probably when it got ridiculous. I was around 10 at that time, so that's about when it started kicking in. People started getting trophies for doing nothing and things.
We talk about we pretend to care that men are upset. As soon as I discuss men's issues, it's misogynistic. It doesn't have to be gender. Just because I believe men have a point of view and men have rights and men are allowed to think and believe and act a certain way that helps them internally, that doesn't mean it's anti-female. In fact, I believe it's actually pro-female. I think when a man is true to his influence and true to his essence and he's good within himself, he's a positive influence in the world and he's positive for the women around him.
Yeah, because those are the kind of men that women want. And if you deny that, you got to be one of those they-them people.
Plus men's issues, people say, oh, you're anti-woman. I'm not anti-woman, I love women.
Why are so many women saying that when their boyfriends start following you,
they're not?
But I can answer this one. I don't know exactly where she's going to go with this, but I basically know where she's going to go with this. Because I watch a lot of these types of things, even though I'm just now reacting to it being recorded. But I've seen a lot of these kind of things. Let's see, what did she say? Let me remind you.
Positive for the women around it. Just because I discuss men's issues, people say, oh, you're anti-woman. I'm not anti-woman, I love women.
Why are so many women saying that when their boyfriends...
Okay, yeah, when the boyfriends start to follow them. Because their boyfriends are basically beta males, and they don't know what's going on yet. They don't really understand women and things like that. So then they meet him, or they get his influence. He starts teaching them some things, because one of the things men don't do is communicate very well with each other, because we keep our emotions and stuff balled up inside for evolutionary purposes. That's one of the things I think you females got correct, by the way, is that men should start opening up, but not to you, to other men. We have to start talking about men's problems amongst men better, more often, and we are seeing the results of that through social media with all this like MGTOW, like men going their own way, and all these boyfriends not putting up with this ridiculous behavior, particularly from millennials and below. This victim mentality. That's why. He's giving them the courage and information needed that Disney and all them never gave these men, boys, whatever, on how to handle some of these things, and they're just being taken to the cleaners, particularly financially, by most of these women, along with being emotional and emotional manipulation and everything else.
Start following you.
They're not.
They experience more control.
So many.
They experience
How many?
more abuse.
How many?
Enough.
Well, that's the first time I've heard.
That's a dumb answer.
Okay, so in fact...
One is too many.
Oh, of course, yeah. So, in fact, I've seen thousands and thousands of comments and have endless emails from women praising the fact that their sons are listening to me. Praising the fact that
the things I'm saying, does it not worry you?
It would worry.
You're not concerned about it.
It would worry me if I was genuinely damaging the world. If you just sit here and say, Andrew, you've become the most Googled man in the world, you have billions of views, and one woman is now saying that her husband is not the same man she wants him to be, when thousands and thousands of people are saying the opposite, well then I would say
I
that that's...
presented you with case after case after case, with quote after quote after quote of people who are genuinely concerned about the impact you're having, and you brush it off as if it's nothing.
Very disturbing news out of Vernon Central High School.
What's going on? Undertax of students have got...
No, what you have done is come here with an agenda, you come here with loaded questions, you come here with things taken out of context, you come here with things that you don't understand are satirical, and then you're going to also sit and say that one woman said that her boyfriend changed when he watched one of your videos, and then I don't know what you expect me to say to that. That's
sarcastic and jokes.
No.
That's how you explain the comments you
no,
make.
for you to sit down...
Would you like to apologise for any of them?
For you to sit down... for you to sit down... It's fine, no, it's fine, it's easy. For you to sit down and say that one woman said that her boyfriend watched an Andrew Tate video, and now he won't do the dishes, or whatever your argument is, and that I'm somehow the world's most dangerous man in the world because I have a car. It's just disingenuous, and I'm enjoying this interview very much because this shows the world. It's great. It shows the world the truth about the legacy media because they beg me for interviews. They beg me. You have been begging me for months. Please, we need to be relevant. And then you come here with loaded questions trying to paint a picture of me, which is completely and utterly false. I am a good positive influence for the world. The things I teach men are stoicism, discipline, self-respect, hard work, obeying authority, listening to your fight coach, working hard in school, making as much money as possible in your job. If you actually watch the things I say, if you actually watch my comments about women, I've done long podcasts for hours long about females, talking about protecting them, providing for them, how I believe women should be treated in a relationship. I've done all of this, but you don't watch any of it, and then you come here and ask me to answer questions I've answered at length thousands of times.
Since you came out of custody, there seems to have been a lot about your charity work.
Correct.
On your social
I've
media.
always done the charity work, but now I'm promoting it.
There seems to be a real shift.
Yeah.
I wonder what's behind that.
Well, I've always done the charity work. I've been doing the charity work for years. I believe that it's my legacy to leave a positive influence on the world, and I've been doing charity work for over 5 years. Post my incarceration, my unfair, unjust incarceration, may I add. Post that, I've made it more clear the charity work I'm doing. But this is, once again, very interesting. I spend $25 million a year feeding children. Men, male children, and female children. In Turkey, in Syria, in Iran, and Iraq, I literally spend $25 million a year feeding children. And I'm still the worst man in the world because 4 years ago I made a sarcastic comment.
Because some people would look at that and say, okay, so before you got money from attracting people to your website by making controversial comments, but that might have got you into trouble. And so now you're looking for a new market. You're looking for a new market of followers who are attracted by a different sort of persona.
I've always done the charity work, so that is obviously incorrect. And I have proof that I've always done the charity work, so you're wrong, firstly. I believe that if you have a lot of wealth, you should help people, and I'm helping people. I also think it's very, very interesting that you cannot find another celebrity in the UK or anywhere else who's spending £25 million a year feeding children in war-torn countries. I'm doing that, and I've been doing that for a long time without even mentioning it. I never even said it. And now that I've said it, people are going to attack me for it and say that it's disingenuous.
Just to
the person in Sudan who's eating the meal, do you think they believe it's disingenuous? No, I think they feel pretty good that Andrew Tate said that. And to sit here and say that I'm a bad person now because I'm manipulating charity.
I didn't know he did that. That's super dope. Hats off. Tip the hat to Tate on that one. That's good. If I ever become super rich, I'm going to be doing similar things. Not that. But I was actually going to do it for in-house to in America because I want to be one of the people that helps take care of our in-house problems. I'm going to let other people focus on outside problems.
Because I'm using charity. I'm just trying to do good in the world. That's all I've ever been trying to do.
When women speak out against you online, disagree with what you say, they describe being bombarded with rape threats, with death threats, trolling by your followers. Would you like to say anything to your followers about how to behave in that situation?
Absolutely correct. I would love to do that. First things first, I've yet to see a female stand up and argue with me online. I don't ever see hardly any, although only women who message me agree with me. Secondly, I don't think that anybody who disagrees with me, male or female, should be trolled. I don't think they should be insulted or attacked. I think the idea should be discussed openly and fairly and maturely. It doesn't matter if a man agrees with me or disagrees with me or a female. I don't think my followers should come along and attack her. If my followers are doing that, I'm upset by that. But let's make a very important clarification. That's not my followers. That's the internet. If you were to log into any video game lobby, I don't play video games, and someone were to sit there and say something stupid, they would be trolled with similar comments. That's the unfortunate reality of the internet as a whole. That's nothing to do with me. But I encourage all of my followers to engage in open discourse, be fair and honest, and talk in a way which is mature. There's no need to troll anybody, male or female.
wonder if you were giving Andrew one more opportunity.
Try the new Smoke and Triple Stack.
The portable and modern way to experience fragrance. Upgrade to Airwick Essential Mist.
To consider whether or not he would like to apologize.
So you just see the word apologize. No.
Give an indication of how he feels about the allegations that he has negatively influenced young people. Secondly, I can make it on record that this interview is taking place in your house because you're under house arrest. If it were not for that, then you would have chosen another location, I'm sure. Negotiated back afterwards. So I think that's just what. Okay. So, just to put on the record then, you said that you've invited us into your house.
Correct.
We're here because you're under house arrest.
Correct.
If you were free to leave, we would have negotiated a more neutral setting.
Don't you think, as the BBC, it'd be very interesting to come here and discuss the fact that I was put in a dungeon for 92 days and then locked in house arrest without charge? Don't you think that's a far more interesting conversation than old YouTube snippets? Don't you think that would be interesting?
You're here under house arrest because there's an ongoing investigation into rape and human trafficking allegations against you.
Correct. I've been incarcerated without charge. Don't you think
The rape allegations
it's been dropped?
has been incarcerated for.
Correct. So I'm incarcerated without charge, and I think that would be a far more interesting conversation than, I guess, Julian Assange is incarcerated without charge, and nobody's interested in that either. So if you actually want to do some genuine journalism and investigation, you can talk about the fact that an innocent man who is yet to be charged with a crime has had his liberty deprived of him. And I think that would be a far more interesting angle than talking about me being the most dangerous man in the world side of the car.
And this question about schools being very worried about your influence. Boys in primary school, or boys as young as 11 are quoting you at school, attacking girls, refusing to respect female teachers.
Give me examples. Give me proof. Show me the videos. And I want to see them chanting his name or whatever too. Because I've seen some videos where like female students are knocking out teachers or pepper spraying them or whatever it was. This one was a pepper spray. Because he took her phone because she was using it in class.
Would you like to say?
Nothing to do with Andrew Tate.
I'd like to say a lot. First things first, as I've repeatedly said, and the only reason I keep repeating it is to ensure this video will be edited. I am a positive force in the world. I teach children discipline. I teach the world discipline, male or female, of any age. And a lot of women listen to me as well. 40% of people listen to me are actually female. Secondly, I do understand with my massive influence, and I am now the one of the most influential people on the planet, that I do have to be slightly more careful with things I say. I'm not going to disagree with that. The idea that I said something 5 years ago on a video that got 300 views.
So what do you mean, being slightly more careful?
I'll give you an example. Some of the jokes I made 4 or 5 years ago on a YouTube channel that got 300 views, I would no longer make it.
Like what?
Like the OnlyFans joke, the one you mentioned. She said, "My man's car is my car." And then she said she did OnlyFans. And I said, "What do you saw on OnlyFans?" She said, "My tits." And I said, "Well, those are your man's tits." As a joke, ha ha ha, everybody laughed. The fact that I could do that on a podcast 5 years ago and only got 300 views, now I understand I'm the most influential man on the face of the planet. I would be more careful with certain things I say. That doesn't mean the things I originally said were genuinely out to harm people.
Do you really believe you're the most influential man on the face of the planet?
I'm the most Googled person on the planet.
Do you believe you're the most influential man on the face of the planet?
I'm the most Googled man on the planet.
That's a yes without saying yes. He's clearly saying that. But what he's saying is he's stating that as his evidence for why he is the most influential man on the planet, and it's a direct challenge to her to question otherwise, and instead she's just repeating herself because she doesn't know how to have a conversation or pick up on social cues, apparently.
Thanks, Lucy. It's enjoyable. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, see, he didn't pick her. He didn't know. He didn't show. Okay, we have like seconds left. Okay, yeah, so he had no idea it was going to be Lucy, apparently, who was coming over to his house, but he did know it was the BBC. Yeah, so that's the Andrew Tate interview. In general, he's totally right on like 98% of the things. I remember there was 1 or 2 things in there I didn't exactly agree with him with. Or I could tell that, kind of like what he just mentioned, was that because he has to be more careful now, he's picking his words more carefully and is definitely modifying a little bit of what he was talking about earlier, being more careful with what he chose to what he's speaking with right now. I can see some of that direct correlation right here inside this. But if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and please leave a suggestion for anything else you would like me to react to, just to put it out there. I do have a particular fondness for politics. It is kind of my thing, so if you have any new clips or anything like that, I would really, really appreciate seeing those. It'd be dope. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.